Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this session and thank you for joining in. Let me clarify at first itself that this is not a lecture, this is not a research study, this is not a speech, this is interaction. And we are going to interact, we are going to talk about the great scholar that is Dr. S.A. Dange sir. It is rather kind of a celebration of the great scholar that he was and the great life he lived. So we are going to just interact with each other about Dr. S.A. Dange sir. I actually have not met Dr. Dange in person, but I think perhaps I know a lot about Dr. Dange sir because I have interacted with many of his students, of course with Dr. Dange ma'am, and I have learned a lot about him. So I'm going to share what I know about Dange sir, and of course then I'm going to hear from all the participants what their experiences have been. First, I would like to just take a few minutes to talk about why we are actually, taking this session, why we are talking about Dr. Dange sir. Many of us are actually associated with the study of Indology. Some of us might be associated with philosophy, some mythology, but somewhere, somehow, we have learnt about the cause and effect theory, right? Karya Karan Bhav. And there are many things around us which are karya, which are effect of some causative factors. There have been some people, there have been some scholars who have worked hard for some of the things which we are seeing today. For example, Department of Sanskrit, right? So we know about Dr. Dange because of Department of Sanskrit, and there is a history. Why the University of Mumbai was established. There are some people who are responsible for that. Why there is a Department of Sanskrit. Even if we think about the separate building of Department of Sanskrit, there is a story. There are people responsible for it. Different courses that are being given by the Department of Sanskrit. So who were these scholars? Who are the scholars who contributed for this? That is necessary to understand, because when we become part of an institute, we become part of that lineage itself, right? When we walk into the Department of Sanskrit, we see many photographs. There are various scholars, but we hardly know about those scholars. But they represent something. That name, that department, that university itself represents something. We have many participants from Tirak Maharashtra Vidyapit. So the name itself, Tirak Maharashtra Vidyapit, it symbolizes something. There is history. And once we become part of that institute, we become part of that lineage. And thus it is necessary to understand what that lineage actually means. That's why we are going to understand about Dr. Dange, because Dr. Dange has a huge contribution in Department of Sanskrit and also in courses such as certificate courses of Sanskrit. He was instrumental in launching those courses. And of course, perhaps there was influence of Dr. Dange in starting the comparative mythology course itself. There used to be a tradition in ancient times where students used to stay with their teachers and they used to learn from their teachers, right? That was a lifestyle because it was necessary to understand the vision, the principles which those teachers had. And once we could imbibe those principles within ourselves, then things are much easier. Now that tradition is slowly dying off. We don't get that much of time to spend with our teachers. But is it possible to understand their vision? Is it possible to understand what principles they had? So this is one of the attempts to understand about Dr. Dange, about his vision, about his principles. I'm saying this is an attempt because this is not completely possible. I cannot say this is 100% possible, but let's give it a try. And let's try to understand what his vision was, if we can imbibe those principles within ourselves, if possible. When I talk with many of the students of Dr. Dange, I sometimes feel that they still experience that company of Dr. Dange with them. Okay, for example, whenever I talk with Dr. Narsare madam, she actually drifts away into past. She experiences as if Dr. Dange is still there with her. and then I have to drift her back into the present. Similarly, whenever Dr. Mahulikar ma'am talks about Dr. Dange, it never happens that she is not having tears in her eyes. So somewhere, somehow, perhaps they have that understanding that their teachers are still with them, and we have to ask them if that is somehow a guiding force in their life. So this is an attempt. And why Dr. Sunil is talking about Dr. Dange, why Dr. Sunil is interested to search about Dr. Dange. So some of my classmates will definitely say कि Dange ma'am को मस्का लगाने के लिए बोल रहा है. तो yes, to some extent, of course, we actually love Dange ma'am को मस्का लगाना. हमें बहुत मजा आता है, बहुत मस्का लगाते हैं मैम को. But along with that, there is a small story. When I took admission in comparative mythology course, we were handed over a list of reference books. And in those reference books, I started searching those authors and those books. And I found almost all the authors, all the books online other than Dr. Dange. Okay, Joseph Campbell and all the Carl Jung, always being seen on websites, their books were available. And that's the point where I got that curiosity. Who is Dr. S.A. Dange? I'm not able to find his info. I'm not able to find his books. And then I went and talked with Narsai madam. Then I got to learn something. And then there was lecture by Dange ma'am where she talked about different scholars. And there I realized that, yes, there is something more about Dr. Dange which we need to search. We need to understand. It is also necessary to understand about these scholars because many of us are interested in doing research. And one primary thing about doing research is to understand what research has already been done. When Dr. Dange wrote many of his books, the mythology subject was restricted to a particular part of society. Highly learned people used to study those books, read those books. They were not common. They were not being sold like those are being sold nowadays on railway stations, railway platforms. You will see mythology books nowadays being sold even on the railway platforms. That was not the scenario then. Now, as mythology is becoming popular, we actually don't know what research has been done by the scholars in past, before 40 years, 50 years. So it is necessary to understand what research has already been done. And then accordingly, it will give us a direction to what the research that we can do ahead. So Dr. Sadashiv Ambadas Dange, today is the birth anniversary of Dr. Dange sir. And some of the things, I might be wrong, I might be right, please guide me. But some of the things which I realized about Dr. Dange sir are like this. He was a very open-minded person. His thought process was not restricted to a particular subset. He was open to new ideas. Whenever he talked with his students, he encouraged them to think from new perspectives. He did not ask his students to think only from one perspective. He always asked his students to think from their own potential, to open up their minds. So he was open to new ideas. He was very proud of Indian heritage. Of course, in his writings, he again and again mentions about how proud he is about our culture, about our linguistics. He has studied Western scholars. So there is an extensive list of scholars to which Dr. Dange refers. I would like to mention that one of the celebrity author had recently mentioned that, he had studied mythology in University of Mumbai, and he made a tall claim saying that teachers of those times had not studied perhaps Western scholars. So I would like to say that this is a completely wrong accusation, because even if somebody reads Dr. Dange's books, or rather his bibliography, they will realize what kind of extensive study Dr. Dange himself has done, how many scholars he has referred. So that shows the Western scholars he has studied, he has referred. He was a highly disciplined person. Perhaps that is because of the family from which he belonged and his training that instilled a discipline within him. Willingness for social contribution. So he was always willing for contributing towards society. It was a lot of his work was not from the perspective of earning fame, earning money, but rather the perspective was mainly of social contribution. He was caring, concerned. Many of his students, he encouraged them to come into academics, to do research studies, because he was very much concerned about them. Language, of course, about language, we are going to talk in few next slides. He was a very sensitive person. Many things that Sir has shared with many people who have shared the things that he had communicated with them. It makes us understand that Sir, Dr. Dange was a very sensitive person. And I pick up this thread to understand that the things around Dr. Dange might have influenced his thought process, his willingness of social contribution, and of course courageous. So courageous, I just want to mention one of the reference which Dr. Dange himself has written. He says, I selected some problematic hymns for a closer study, and I must say I was rewarded. Though it is not possible to say that all what I proposed would be accepted, my reward is that I could differ and differ successfully from some of our renowned scholars whom I have always held in great respect. So this viewpoint is very interesting. He was proud of putting forward a different thought process, a different opinion. He was proud to differ from the established scholars of that time. 1942, Sir did BA from Nagpur University. And it is interesting to understand that at that time period, he was a favorite in his school, to his principal. And his principal had offered him, because, of course, pre-British era and convent school, they had offered him government service. So, government service has always been a dream job for many of us, even now. And Dr. Dange surprisingly refused it. Dr. Dange said he didn't wanted to go for a government service at that time period. If he would have gone to government service, perhaps we might not have got all this research work to study. 1942 to 1950, Sir contributed all these years for social contribution. He left, he stopped his education. He did not join job. He was getting the government job, he refused it, and he devoted himself for social contribution. He did lot of field work in Chennai and in Kerala, okay, for all these years. In 1952, Sir did MA in Sanskrit from Bombay University, Bombay. 1954 to 1962. Now I find three important phases in Dange Sir's life, and the one is over here, 1954. This year is very important. Now I want you to take a pause for a few seconds and think of your first job. When you are doing your first job, what is the feeling, right? When we are doing our first job, we want to do the best. We want to do the maximum. We want to learn the most. We want to prove ourselves. This is being seen in this time period, 1954 to 1962, in Khamgaon. One more thing is there. Now, this is the 1952 is the year when Sir got married. And I'm sure Dange ma'am would not like me to talk more on that. But there is something I would like to talk from the reference of Dange Sir himself. So Dange Sir has mentioned in his book, बाप घरगुती असली तरी हे कार्य घरगुती नसल्याने गृहिणीने याद केलेल्या सहाय्याचा उल्लेख करणे आवश्यक वाटते. माझी पत्नी डॉक्टर सौ सिंधू डांगे, प्राध्यापक एल्फिस्टन कॉलेज मुंबई, हिचे हस्तलिखिताची प्रत तयार करण्यापासून तर संपूर्ण ग्रंथ मुद्रित होईपर्यंत अनेक पातळ्यांवर सहकार्य लाभले. त्याचा कृतज्ञतापूर्वक उल्लेख करताना मला आनंद वाटतो. So I know, ma'am, you would not like me to mention about your contribution in sir's life, but sir himself has mentioned that your contribution is huge. And I think, on one side, here is sir. It was almost the age of 34 years. And sir was a bit struggling, with job and all these things, financial things. And on the other side, Dange ma'am, young, coming from a very settled, humble background, financial background. And ma'am had, if I'm not wrong, Madhvi ma'am had told me once that ma'am had published her research paper, I think at the age of 18 years or something like that. I think that must have been very influential for sir also, rather challenging also. So in this period, 1954, sir published this paper, The Order of the Duryodhana, Plays of Bhasa. And so here the research work started. Along with it, sir completed his MA in Hindi from Nagpur University, Pandava Riddle, Sarvilaka, not a resident of Ujjaini, suggestion in Sanskrit dramas. And also during the same time, sir has done PhD in Sanskrit from Nagpur University itself. Gajendra Moksha. And all these things were done. Now, while doing PhD, sir's PhD topic was associated with Mahabharata. Now, this is not, I could not find it written somewhere, but I have heard it from these experiences only. And at that time, sir did his study from a perspective of Sanskrit scholar. But after that thesis was completed, many scholars told him that this is a great contribution in field of mythology also. And from that point, sir's interest in a separate branch of mythology was also increasing. So these are some of the works till 1962. In 1962 to 1969, he became lecturer in Sanskrit Department of Postgraduate Studies in Nagpur University. So the same place where he completed his PhD, he became lecturer. And these are some of the publications by sir. Now here we can see slow by slow from the starting papers are mainly in Sanskrit, plays, dramas, and slow by slow we are going towards mythology and Vedics. I'm avoiding to read all the names because I'm sure if I make mistake while reading somewhere, Dange ma'am is going to just note it and she's going to scold me later. So it is rather better to just scroll through the slides and just show you the names. So Ashwamedha Yajna and all these things. When we're talking about being courageous and standing, putting forward different viewpoints, it is interesting to note that it was very challenging to talk about sexual symbolism in Indian mythology during that time period. But of course, it was Dange sir and he did it. Just few days back, we had a session by Dr. William Lin on psyche and symbolism in myths. And at that time, this reference came up. We had one participant, Nina Godbole ma'am, and she mentioned that many of these things are already mentioned by Dr. Dange sir. In 1969, sir became reader in Sanskrit in Department of Sanskrit, University of Bombay, Maharashtra. And in regard with Mumbai University, I would like to mention sir's yes. So this is an interesting reference given by sir. He talks about late Professor H.D. Velankar sir. He says, I had fully discussed the chapter A Virility Charm and The Bull of Mudgala. Though he was generally known to be rather lukewarm in his appreciation of the non traditional ethnological approach to the study of the Veda, I am very happy to record, in all humility, his wholehearted encouragement and unmixed with appreciative endorsement for my approach, even though he clearly saw that I differed from him. Now, this is very interesting and surprising thing for me, because whenever we put forward a different opinion to teachers, many a times those are not welcomed. This is something different I see about Dr. Velankar as well as Dr. Dange, that they always encourage different opinions. You can differ from my opinion and you can try your best to put it forward to present in a better way. Words fail to describe how I miss him now that the treatise is published by the University of Bombay of the Sanskrit department, of which he had been the first professor. Now, from this is the very different level altogether. After joining University of Mumbai, there is so much of work done by Sir. So these are all the lectures and different papers published by Sir. Ganesh Kosha, Devi Kosha, and there was a review article, a survey of the Shrauta Sutras, which was done by Dr. C.G. Kashikar. So many of these topics, I frankly speaking, I find problem even while pronouncing some of these words. So it is interesting to understand what length of research has already been done. We always think of topics to do the research, but it is necessary to understand a huge research that already has been done by Sir or even many contemporary scholars. There are almost, and then in 1969, Legends in the Mahabharata was published by Motilal Banarsi. And so here the publication of the book starts. Of course, all this data is provided by Dange ma'am. In 1971, Vedic Concept of Field and the Divine Fructification was published. Total almost 27 books, 260 plus research papers. So I think, in mythology classroom, even if we take one research paper per month, it will be a huge duration to study all those papers. And it is interesting to understand that Dr. Dange focuses on Indian context. Okay, so all the theories, those are rather, I would like to propose that Dr. Dange and many contemporary scholars are kind of filters for us, because they have studied all the Western scholars and they have put forward what is the context in terms of Indian mythology. So it is rather easier for us as students to study their work and understand how the context works in Indian philosophy. Now we are going to read Carl Jung and all those scholars, and then we are going to scratch our head thinking, array, how it applies in Indian mythology. But this work has already been done by Dr. Dange. And of course, Dr. Dange, Sindhu Dange ma'am also. Now, in this book, Sir mentions about importance of regional language and how important it is to learn all the subjects in our language. Because along with mythology, Sir's focus is also on folk tales. And understanding folk tales is difficult without understanding our regional languages. Many of the theories Sir have published or put forward in Sanskrit terms. For example, what is mythology? We always keep on fighting mythology, true, false. But Sir has given particular terms, Pura Katha, okay, Pura Vrutta, and all these terms are already been established. And then the question occurs, then why we are still fighting on those concepts if those concepts are already been put forward. Sir had been PhD guide for 12 students. He had been editor, honorary editor for Indian section for the journal in Ontario, Canada. So one of the misconceptions that we have that, nowadays we are well connected because we have this technology, we have internet and all those things. But even scholars of that time period were well connected. Many scholars, many Western scholars have given reference of Dr. Dange in his work, in their works. We can still find all those papers published by Western scholars online. So that connectivity was still there. One more thing I would like to mention, I don't know if madam would appreciate it or not, but in this book, Purakathancha Artha, I find it interesting that in second para, he mentions ma'am. First, he mentions ma'am as HOD for Department of Sanskrit. He thanks her for giving the opportunity, for giving the motivation to start working on this book. And almost in, I think, fifth paragraph, sir mentions ma'am as wife and then thanks for her personal health. This is interesting. Nowadays we talk about giving equal importance to the partner, right? Sir had done it that time itself. He has mentioned ma'am separately as HOD, separately as wife, and in one of the book he has dedicated the book to ma'am as student. So that differentiation, giving importance to your partner, that was done by sir long ago, and that shows that he was ahead of his time. His many ideas, his thoughts were ahead of his time. And I will stop my presentation over here, but I wouldn't say thank you or the end because there is a lot of stuff that I have not mentioned over here, and there is a lot of work that is still to be done, still to be continued. Because as I have said, this is a lineage, right? And see, if you see in villages, people walk during night time. They're walking through forest, and if you ask them that are you not scared, then they say that we are always protected by our ancestors. Their souls are protecting us. I think it also applies to our teachers. Our teachers are always with us, and perhaps they are guiding our path also. So once we understand their principles or their ideology, it is much easier for us to walk on our path. Then the path is clear, no matter how much darkness there is. So I'll stop my presentation over here, or the things that I wanted to share. I hope I have covered most of the points that I wanted to discuss with everyone. And now I would like to take insights from all the attendees. It would be great to learn from all the people. Thank you very much.
अर्थ आहे ना ते छोटं आहे आणि ते आमच्या मित्रांच्या याच्यावरून मराठीत लिहिलं.
मॅम तुम्ही इंग्लिश मध्ये बोलता का? कारण मेनी पीपल वोंट अंडरस्टँड व्हॉट यू आर सेइंग. प्लीज मॅम.
पुराकथांचा अर्थ, दिस मराठी बुक वॉज रिटन ऑन द इन्सिस्टन्स ऑफ डॉक्टर अशोक केळकर, because he wanted my husband to write in English, in Marathi.
Yes.
But already the English book he had sent for publication towards understanding Hindu myths. Yes, more than 500 pages. And Encyclopedia of Puranic Beliefs and Practices in 5 volumes. So it covers all the, Puranic age. That means actually the modern Hindu religion, all beliefs and practices. That's a monumental work because that was UGC project and later on he published it.
Yes.
Okay. Well, my daughter and son-in-law, they have joined from
hi.
Georgia.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Augusta.
Okay.
Location.
Okay, great. Hi, thanks for joining in. So would you like to share some of the experiences of Dr. Dange with us? Varsha madam, Asha madam? आशा मॅडम तुमचा माईक ऑन करता का? हा मॅडम बोला. बोला. हो.
I would like to stress the significance of those volumes, Encyclopedia of Beliefs and Customs. Uh, Beliefs and customs form an integral part of Indian society and culture. And culture, it is said, that is both static and dynamic. And it is always interesting. So I'm wonderstruck, the theme that was selected by Sir was so interesting and so significant that it was a material. Sir had analyzed all those details and provided a material. There will be scholars who would like to concentrate their attention on Puranic culture, Puranic society, and they get ready-made material. Uh, that is, according to me, the importance of these volumes. So whenever the Sir used to select a theme, he had a specific angle. It's quite clear, had given thought, and everything, throws light on his deep insight. That is the first point that I would like to stress. And there are some points which I can say are personal. For example, Dr. Mrs. Dange, I'm happy to mention, is an ex-student of Ramnaran Ruya College, and of course of the Department of Sanskrit, and she topped the list of the candidates who appeared for BA exam with Sanskrit as their special subject, and my father was the head of that the department at that time. So he knew that Madam's intelligence is very sharp. At the same time, she was very, very studious, and therefore he probably knew in the heart of his heart that she will stand first. And this is he used to consider her as his own daughter. And once I remember, Sir had visited our college. We had Sanskrit, because I also started teaching in the same college later on. Many of you know that. And when Sir visited the college to deliver a speech, that was the program, the function organized by the Department of Sanskrit, Sanskrit Vangmay Sevak Sabha, or Sanskrit Literary Association. And my father was a retired person that time, but he visited the department and he was requested to speak a few words. Especially, he was supposed to introduce Sir, and that time I just can never forget. He said that my son-in-law has come to our institution, and other 2-3 occasions, because the rest of the things, he was a renowned scholar. He had deep insight into the research field, for which he is always admired, not only by scholars in India, but other parts of the world. Uh, there are some personal memories, and I don't think it will be improper to if I share them with you. And that is Hindu Dharma and Tattvajnan. My father liked it so much that, during his ailment, that was a last ailment, I can say, he was suffering from pain, and he used to hold that book in his hand and he used to keep on reading the book continuously. And once he told me that, "Wah, I chan lila, wah, I chan lila." He used to admire Sir. He used to respect him, though he was younger, and uh, he the he said that my pains, intolerable pains, I get some relief when I read his book. So this, according to me, is a very important point. And many other students or other persons would like to speak, and therefore I don't have time. But I would like to state, I can never forget. In fact, I'll ever be indebted to what he did for me. I was Dr. Mrs. Dange's PhD student, and probably he knew which work I was doing. And when I came to know that I can get it published, sir also knew that. In fact, uh, I have to admit that Dr. Mrs. Dange helped me in getting that published. And uh, that time he wrote a foreword on his own, So I'm ever indebted to him for the gesture shown by him. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. This is, how we pursue Dr. Dange sir is through the, all the experiences of our teachers. That's why I had also written it in our title, that teacher of my teachers. And that's how we learned about Dr. Dange sir, from our teachers. And yes, Vidya ma'am, you would like to say something, Vidya ma'am?
Okay.
Ma'am, yes,
Yeah.
please.
Thanks, Dr. Parab, for giving me this opportunity. I think I'm really grateful, and I will echo Dr. Alka Bakre Madam's words, that I'm greatly, greatly indebted to Dr. Sindhu ma'am, that is Dr. Madam, we call her, and Dr. Dange sir, because both of them, they have played a great role. As I said, that what I am today, what the journey that I have taken is entirely because of both of them. And I don't want to bore you with, because I have a lot of stories. I'm a very late student. I'm not a Sanskrit student. I came to Sanskrit department by chance. I am a fine artist, and I was happily working in my field. And I happened to know that this was something like comparative mythology course which was being conducted, and I just came to the department like you did. And but it was Dr. Dange sir who totally sort of gave me the direction. And if not for Madam Dange, I wouldn't even have done PhD under her, because it was not easy, because I had only my graduation degree. And I must mention that madam had to really work hard to get it under RRC, to get me sort of admission, because there was a lot of technical issues, but she was standing behind me like a rock solid. And I'm really glad that I worked under her. But just one small thing that I would like to add is what I remember most, that
Your voice is breaking, ma'am. Ma'am, your voice is breaking. We are not able
yeah,
to
I have
hear
some problem with. Shall I stop it? I have this
you. Ma'am, you stop
today,
your
even in the
video.
morning, I
Ma'am,
couldn't.
ma'am, you can stop
Yeah.
your video. Perhaps your it would be better.
Yeah, I did that. I did. Hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes, a bit
Can
better.
you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just add all things. Stop here, because I get really emotional.
Oh, we are lost. I think we are lost, ma'am. Okay, so I think ma'am might reconnect again. Meanwhile, I would like to share with you the event which is being organized. We talked about Khamgaon College, right? So one event, yearly event is being organized by Khamgaon College. We'll just hear some of the intro. This is in Marathi. Please bear with me. And for others, I can translate it later.
व्याख्यानाला सुरुवात लवकरच करू, पण तत्पूर्वी या कार्यक्रमाची, या उपक्रमाची थोडी पार्श्वभूमी मला सांगितली पाहिजे, कारण अनेकांनी त्याबद्दल विचारणा केली होती कार्यक्रमापूर्वी आणि औत्सुक्य आहे अनेकांना हे जाणून घ्यायचं की कोणाच्या स्मृतीप्रित्यर्थ हा कार्यक्रम आहे आणि तो का आणि कसा आयोजित केलेला आहे. तर त्यासंबंधी थोडक्यात एवढंच सांगतो की डॉक्टर सदाशिव अंबादास डांगे हे आमच्या बोरसे महाविद्यालयाचे पहिले संस्कृत विभाग प्रमुख होते. 1954 पासून ते 1954 मध्ये आमच्या इथे पहिल्यांदा आर्ट्स फॅकल्टीची सुरुवात झाली. पूर्वी जीएस सायन्स अँड ऍग्रिकल्चर कॉलेज होतं. 1954 मध्ये आर्ट्स फॅकल्टीची जेव्हा सुरुवात झाली त्यावेळेला पहिले संस्कृत विभाग प्रमुख म्हणून डॉक्टर डांगे आमच्याकडे रुजू झाले. ते मूळचे वर्ध्याचे, पण तो एमए संस्कृत केल्यानंतर 1954 मध्ये ते आमच्याकडे रुजू झाले आणि 1962 पर्यंत ते अंबामध्येच कार्यरत होते. त्यांनी नागपूर विद्यापीठातून, त्यावेळेला नागपूर विद्यापीठाला कॉलेज संलग्न होतं, नागपूर विद्यापीठातून पीएचडी प्राप्त केली आणि त्यानंतर नागपूर विद्यापीठातच त्यांना अध्यापन करण्याची संधी मिळाली संस्कृत विभागात. पुढे ते तिथे संस्कृतचे विभाग प्रमुखही झाले नागपूरच्या पदव्युत्तर संस्कृत विभागामध्ये. आणि त्यानंतर पुढे ते मुंबईला गेले. मुंबई विद्यापीठात त्यांना अध्यापन करण्याची संधी मिळाली. त्यांच्या पत्नी डॉक्टर सिंधुताई डांगे या सुद्धा पीएचडी संस्कृत मध्ये झाल्या आणि त्या एल्फिन्स्टन कॉलेज मुंबईमध्ये संस्कृतच्या प्राध्यापिका म्हणून कार्य करत होत्या. यथावकाश डॉक्टर डांगे मुंबईचे विभाग प्रमुख झाले संस्कृतचे मुंबई विद्यापीठाचे. मुंबई विद्यापीठाचे संस्कृत विभाग प्रमुख म्हणजे त्यांना आर.जी. भांडारकर प्रोफेसर ऑफ संस्कृत असं म्हणतात. तर ही अतिशय मानाची समजल्या जाणारी आर.जी. भांडारकर संस्कृत प्रोफेसरशिप त्यांना मिळाली आणि निवृत्तीपूर्वी ते भांडारकर प्रोफेसर ऑफ संस्कृत होते. त्यानंतर ते निवृत्त झाले 1982-83 मध्ये. त्यांच्या स्मृतीप्रित्यर्थ हे व्याख्यान आयोजित करण्याचं कारण असं की ते एक अतिशय अव्वल दर्जाचे संशोधक आणि मूलगामी चिकित्सेची वृत्ती असणारे, अशी प्रज्ञा असणारे विद्वान होते. त्यांचा पीएचडीचा विषय हा महाभारतावरच होता आणि त्यांचा जो प्रबंध होता लेजेंड्स इन द महाभारत विथ ए ब्रीफ सर्वे ऑफ फोक टेल्स, हा मोतीलाल बनारसीदास या संस्थेने 1969 मध्ये प्रकाशित केला होता. आमच्या महाविद्यालयात आता तो आउट ऑफ प्रिंट आहे, परंतु आमच्या महाविद्यालयाने एक दुर्मिळ पुस्तक म्हणून आम्ही तो अजूनही जतन करून ठेवलेला आहे. आता त्याची एक नवीन आवृत्ती येऊ घातलेली आहे. तर त्यांच्या संबंधी संस्कृतचा विद्यार्थी म्हणून माझ्या कानावर अनेकदा त्यांच्या संदर्भातल्या गोष्टी पडत होत्या आणि एक दिवस गेल्या वर्षी सहज कुठून मनात विचार आला काय माहित, परंतु इंटरनेटवर त्याच्याबद्दल सर्च केलं तेव्हा त्याच्यावरच एक फेसबुक पेज कोणीतरी तयार केलेलं मला मिळालं आणि ते फेसबुक पेज तयार करणारे होते डॉक्टर सुनील परब. त्यांचंही मी इथे आभार मानतो, कारण त्यांच्यामुळे सगळा हा योग जुळून आला. आणि हे डॉक्टर सुनील परब डॉक्टर डांगे यांचे माजी विद्यार्थी आणि त्यांच्याशी संपर्क केला असता त्यांनी मला कळवलं की डांगे यांच्या पत्नी सिंधुताई डांगे या मुंबईला सध्या राहतात. त्यांच्याशी संपर्क केला तेव्हा त्यांना अतिशय आनंद झाला की जीएस कॉलेजच्या कोणीतरी संपर्क केला म्हणून आणि त्या खूप अतिशय आनंदित झाल्या, संततित झाल्या. त्यावर मी मॅडमशी बोललो व्हायचा मॅडमशी आणि म्हटलं आपण त्यांच्या स्मृतीप्रित्यर्थ काहीतरी करूया. आणि त्यांनी लगेच होकार दिला, कारण त्यांनी हे महत्व या गोष्टींचं खूप अगत्य आहे. त्यांनी लगेच होकार दिला आणि आमच्या माननीय प्राचार्यांशी मी बोललो, अध्यक्षांशी बोललो. त्यांनी लगेच मला आणि मॅडमना प्रोत्साहित केलं की तुम्ही गो अहेड, तुम्हाला जे करायचं असेल ते करा, आम्ही तुमच्या पाठीशी आहोत. आणि सिंधुताई डांगेंना आम्ही अशी विनंती केली की त्यांच्या स्मृतीप्रित्यर्थ व्याख्यान आयोजित करण्याची, दरवर्षी एक स्मृती व्याख्यान आयोजित करण्याची आम्हाला परवानगी द्यावी. त्यावर त्यांनी केवळ परवानगीच दिली नाही तर छोटीशी देणगी सुद्धा आम्हाला दिली आणि त्याने प्रेरित होऊन हे व्याख्यान आम्ही वर्ष आहे दरवर्षी त्यांच्या स्मृती प्रित्यर्थ हे व्याख्यान अशा प्रकारे आयोजित करण्याचा आमचा मानस आहे.
So now Khamgaon College is having an yearly event in memory of Dr. Dange sir, and how cool is it? You know, he referred to me as Dr. Dange's student. So I mean, you know, I can flaunt that identity anywhere. I'm Dr. Dange's student. So Varsha ma'am, would you like to share some story, some experience, please?
Yeah, actually there are many stories which are there in our heart. But I would just narrate some things of our childhood. I remember that we were staying in the bungalow of Judge Palsule at Nagpur, and in front of one of our balconies, we were having Ramakrishna Ashram, and on the other hand, Gorakshan Mandir, which had the farms for as pasture lands for the cattle. And it was such a peaceful atmosphere, and I remember that there was one room where our father used to study, and that room was somewhat secluded. One can say not exactly secluded, but then it had the door which he could shut sometimes. But I would narrate one particular incident. We used to have one kind of hall, enclosed kind of space for the children to play in front of that room. And we used to have a lot of friends actually, myself and my younger sister who is here now, Vinata. And about 15-20 of us, we used to play there. And we used to make such a great noise, even forgetting that our father is reading or something. And it so happened that once Judge Palsule came from downstairs. We were on the first floor, and the owner, Palsule, used to stay on the ground floor. And he came up, and we were so busy playing. He directly entered our father's room, and he asked him, "Are you not getting disturbed because of this kind of noise? You are studying so hard and all that." So my father said, "Well, I don't really hear any kind of noise. They are in their own world, I am in my own world." And now when you see, my son was reading Seneca, the philosopher. He just told me one sentence that Seneca has written that if in case anybody wants to really go inward, and when that person goes inward, he or she doesn't at all feel the presence of any person around, any noise around. And then I said, "Oh, my father was like that." That's just one incident. There are so many, but I would say that our formative years are so good. And I'm sure if children's formative years are good, then I think we can have a very great kind of footing for our own academic standing. So all of us, we three sisters, are because our parents have raised us in that particular free atmosphere where money was not really the kind of passion, but the teaching as such, and the calmness of mind. This is what I would say. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sunil, can we request Vinata?
हो नक्की ना. आता मी त्यांच्याकडेच जात होतो. Please. Yes, ma'am, please.
Well, first of all, I am not in Sanskrit field, so I'm not really. I know my father as my father. I know that all the publications and all the books he wrote. So I'm, from that point of view, I'm very proud. But first, I want to say is that first of all, I want to thank you, Dr. Parab, for putting together this program. And it makes me, I'm really grateful, and it is the gratitude of my family that I want to convey to you, that you didn't have to do that. And there are a lot of things that we never have to do, and we do it. And I think all of us should take a moment from my family to thank you for doing this. I also would like to thank all of you who have joined, because you could be doing something else at 8 o'clock in the morning, in the night, and you did attend. You have spent almost an hour now listening to this. So I'm really grateful to each and every one of you who has logged in. And really, please accept my sincere gratitude from my family to you. Everybody's parent is special to them. They are at heart. I mean, they are close to your heart. And as I said, I cannot comment critically on his life's work. And I think that is for all of you to judge, because you are experts in that. What I would like to say is, we talk about Me Too movement, for example. And my father, for the Me Too movement, he passed away more than 20 years ago now. And he was truly in the Me Too moment. My mom, I think, if I had to, and I always tell her that, my mom, probably in brilliance, I think she was more brilliant than my father. She had the most beautiful handwriting. But the fact of the matter is that he didn't hold her back. In that time, in 1955, he let her get her master's even before she had her first child. I think that speaks to who he was and how he respected women. He wrote about sexual symbolism, and he dedicated that book to my mom. So that way there is no doubt about that he had any other affairs or whatever, and he didn't have. And I think I'm trying to humanize him, because that's what many things are, right? He never had an affair. He always was dedicated to my mom. He let her get her PhD. And he also nurtured the careers of so many of his students. We were 3 girls. Several times people told him, I remember one of my grandparents used to have some saints come to their house, and he bowed down to one of them and he said, "Hoil, hoil, mulga hoil," means yes, you will get a son. And my father, in front of 50 other people, he said, "No, I won't have a son. I have 3 beautiful daughters, and they're better than my sons that I could ever have." And I truly believe that is what he was. I mean, he didn't tout the Me Too moment because he lived the Me Too moment. And I really, for that, I would really thank, that's why I'm very grateful to my parents for what they did. They never held us back. They didn't tell me go to Sanskrit when I decided to do science. And that was the nature of who he was. And I think he's still with me in many, many ways. I see it in my son. My son loves to write. He publishes and he writes so as I tell my mom, DNA never dies. DNA is the most selfish thing that we have. DNA never dies. DNA just enriches us. So you know what? All of us have, and DNA is not just genetic, because DNA changes with biology, environment, it changes. So he lives through all of us, as your parents are living through us. So I would just say, like, you have taken the time to thank my father. I think you would take a moment to thank your parents for what they have given you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, ma'am, we were just, before starting the session itself, we were having one discussion, and Subhash sir is there. Subhash sir, you can switch on your video. So Subhash sir was just sharing how ma'am is still taking lectures for us. She likes to come to department and teach us. And, at that moment, I told sir that ma'am does it as her service towards her teachers. And this puts forward an example for people like us. It makes us think, are we putting forward that respect towards our teachers? And perhaps whatever we are doing, it is also inspired because what we are learning from ma'am. So of course, again, the credit of organizing or taking up any task again goes to Dange ma'am only. Thank you very much, ma'am, for sharing your experience. Shashwat, you wanted to say something? Yes, please.
Yeah, I would like to just add one very interesting bit, and Dange ma'am is here. My
first time in in our life.
I'm extremely sorry. That was a mistake from my part. Please, Shashwat, please go ahead.
Yeah. So Dange ma'am is here, ma'am. Namaskara first and foremost. Being a student, that has been one great part. We learned, as Dr. Parab said, we learned about Dange sir from our class, and we learned about him through the books and through the discussion that we had at the institute. But I had a very interesting anecdote to add on this thing, and it goes beyond that fact. So, being a journalist, I was doing an interview of Shyam Benegal when the Bharat Khoj completed 25 years. So, in completion of 25 years, I was doing Shyam Benegal's interview, and at that time we were just we were just talking about how this whole thing came about. And interestingly, when we were talking about that, he spoke about the kind of scholarly work that went into making that serial. And one of the names that he took at that time was Dr. Dange. Dr. Sadashiv Dange was part of the research team. And then I was, that name struck me instantly. And I just told him that, I'm from the department which was established by him, and still studying there. And suddenly he had a lot of, he told me how interesting work that he bought, specifically in the early Vedic episodes that were there. Lot of this pronunciation of the hymns and all, he helped the team with that thing. And he was very appreciative, and he was very surprised that Sindhu ma'am is still teaching in that department. So, like Dr. Parav just mentioned, that there are a lot of people in today's world who don't know the value, but, coming from outside, and that moment of pride that I experienced and I cherish at that moment when Shyam Benegal, a person of that stature, was, talking the kind of work and effort that has been taken by our scholars. It felt very good. So, so I think so. In retrospect, these are the kind of doyens that have, that have built a level of education, a level they have set the benchmark so high. I don't believe that, people in modern times will be able to match up to those standards now. That's an anecdote I thought I'll share. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shashwat, because we had seen that clip, Bharat Ek Khoj and Dange sir's name coming up. But you communicated and during your interview and got those insights. We are very thankful to you for that. If anybody would like to share any insights or any comments, please, you can just switch on your mic and communicate. I think Mahulikar madam couldn't join in today. Yes, Jigisha ma'am, please.
Dange ma'am, namaskar. I'm so happy to see you after such a long time. I don't know whether you remember me or not.
Jigisha ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am. This was a trick. This was a trick to get Dange ma'am on Zoom.
This was precisely why I have been insisting, because I would get to see her. I knew.
We have been trying since 4 months, ma'am. Zoom try kara, but she was not giving it a try. Now it is, big treasure open for us.
Yes.
Now we can
invite
ma'am each month. Ma'am,
yes. Yes, which is precisely why I was grumbling when you said I will just put a video. I said nothing doing, because I knew ma'am would come. So yes, I wanted to tell you all about this. My son does not know Hindi. I'm sorry, but he does not know Hindi. And then when we were talking to the teachers, and teachers said that children are watching Mahabharata and learning, I decided to go for Bharat Ek Khoj. Okay, and when it was first released on TV, I am ardent devotee of that serial actually, and I didn't know that Dr. Dange was involved with it. This time, just 3 weeks back, when my son was watching, and I saw that the subtitles, credits and all, and I was so thrilled. And my son has picked up Hindi and he has just seen those initial Vedic period episodes, and I'm so glad that somewhere indirectly my son is also learning from Dange sir. Oh, I I'll just switch off the camera. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, Subhash, sir, you wanted to say?
Yeah. Sorry, I had to cut off in the middle. I want to say two things. One is towards understanding Hindu myths, that book. I'm still reading it, although I finished my course in 2017. And whenever I'm reading it, I'm still finding something that I have missed in the first readings. There is always something that you will, understand more, because your interaction with mythology and then reading back the book, then you'll understand what actually Dange sir is trying to tell you. And he's trying to tell you something which is much deeper. It is only if you just read it once, like the first time we read it only for the exam point of view. So that was very limited reading. So when you read it repeatedly, after a certain amount of time, you will find new meanings. And another anecdote was lately, a lot of people are taking lectures. So one of our, known person was going to take a lecture on a subject. The subject was very similar to the dissertation of one of my classmates. The title was very, very similar. It was on the same subject. Although the subject is very vast, the title was very similar. So our class has got a group, and in that some discussion started. So I said, first thing is that the subject is very vast, so many facets, and someone is taking a talk, it is okay. See, I'm sure, and that person was a faculty. So then the discussion went, and it said, and then the faculty himself said, see, I'm not going to plagiarize. I have not even hardly skimmed through your dissertation. He says, no faculty reads dissertations which are 100, 200 pages. He says, except one. Dange ma'am reads every word with a paper next to her and a pencil, and she will make some markings from that of her own notes. She's the only person, even if in our batch there were 30 or 35 students, every assignment to read every word, remember, and then give feedback to that person itself today it's a very, very, it really shows commitment. I doubt, and I'm sure some of us here are faculties also, I doubt whether anybody can does that. It shows the love and commitment for the subject. I'm sure. And you're talking about Guru Sishya Parampara, and we say that was there in olden times, it is not there now. But you see that when in the classroom, when Dange ma'am is there, or even students who are afterwards, who are interacting with them, whatever little of their Guru Sishya Parampara we can keep alive, we're able to keep alive because the Guru is of that standard. That is all I want to say to ma'am.
Subhash, in fact, I was privileged to have one of my notes. I remember during this class, I had submitted a whole list of a rather controversial topic, and Dange ma'am had scribbled all through those, 20 odd pages, making, lots of correction, lot of addition. And I was privileged to have a very long discussion. Yeah, so that was really surprising at that time. I must admit that.
And, there's so many faculty who will come, and when you ask a question, they will say, I'll get back to you. Most of the time, they won't get back until you remind them. But I have seen personally, not for my case, when someone in my class asked for some reference from Dange ma'am, and I think Dange ma'am came after 2.5 months. But the very first class she came with the cuttings. And she said, I'm giving you this, Xerox it right now and give it back to me. Like
But
it was
yes.
like, no, right now, you go out of the class, go there, go down, Xerox it, come back and give it.
Guys, I need to remind you, Dange ma'am के लिए बोलने के लिए और अलग session लेना पड़ेगा.
No, Cyril, just one thing. I want to say Dange ma'am's lecture used to be the most stressful lectures as well, because you had to be very conscious of when you entered. You know, the rest of the comparative mythology lectures were very fun and you could take it easy. But in Dange ma'am's thing, you had to be careful and you had to be, so I don't know. It's great to just be able to,
I think Maulikar ma'am has come in, I think so.
I'm just sharing a few words which were shared by Mahulikar ma'am about Dange sir recently. So I'm just going to share those and maybe we can conclude the session after sharing.
Was there any continuity you were asking?
Yeah.
So MA I did continuously, after BA. But after MA, I didn't do my PhD immediately. Again, there is a break. And again, there is a story.
Please,
again, there is a story. In my life, I think it's all the Purva Sukrita, my Purva Sukrita basically, and the Punyatmas in the field of Sanskrit who have blessed me and who wanted me to come in this field, So one was this Pendarkar, the Papadbai, my father, all are the Punyatmas who have touched my life. What happened? After MA, I was working as a research assistant with Dr. Dange, Sadashiv Ambadas Dange, a great scholar in Indology in the field of Sanskrit, and he is my guru in the field of research. Okay, and I did 18 Mahapuranas I read on his project, which is published in 5 volumes, Puranic Encyclopedia of Beliefs and Practices. Okay, wow. And I did all that data collection work with him. I used to share a small room with him. And whenever I used to come across any word, sir, haisa artha ka hai? What does it mean? And shall I take it as a motive and this and that? So every conversation with him was a learning experience for me. Okay.
Right.
But after that, and then I got married, I was into family line, and I was away from the field of Sanskrit for so many years. No one would believe it now, but it's a fact. And it so happened that in 1987, 88 was the silver jubilee year of the Sanskrit department of Mumbai University. It was established in 1963. So 88 was the 25th year. So the 87, 88 whole year they were celebrating as a silver jubilee year. Okay. So they had so many seminars, etc. So in one of the seminars, what they did was they invited all the past students from all the 25 years, whomsoever they could contact, Okay. Right. So I had passed my MA in 75 and this was in 87. Okay. After 12 years, one tapas. So after that, I was called as a past student. Okay. 2.5 days seminar went on very well. Then the same Dange sir, whom I adore so much, he just made a suggestion. Why not all the students who have come, why don't they come to a podium and introduce themselves and then introduce which batch they passed out, and in case of girls especially, please tell your maiden name, your present name, and what are you doing now? Just your introduction in 5 minutes,
Yeah.
So people were going one by one. My turn came. I went to the podium and I said my maiden name was Shobha Gothe. That's my maiden name. And I passed MA in 75. And now I'm Gauri Mahulikar. I'm just a housewife. My introduction had ended there. I had nothing more to add. Because, I was doing nothing but taking some tuitions. And except Sanskrit, I taught all other subjects. Because in the nearby schools, there was no Sanskrit offered.
Right.
So, but I don't know, after these 2 sentences, some words came out of my mouth, and after they were articulated by me, I knew that I said it because I never planned to say that. And the words are, I'm so charged by the atmosphere here that I want to re-enter this field.
Beautiful.
Then, see, this is my Purva Sukrit. This is what all people wanted me to do. What am I doing at home with 2-3 gold medals with me? After MA, I did one dissertation also with Mumbai University That was a Manekji Limji gold medal, and I wrote a dissertation on Bharata's Natya Shastra and the ancient Greek dramas. Yeah. So, but then what am I doing with all this? I'm teaching history, geography, maths, and science to the school kids. And then after that, he called me. He had little droplet of tear in his eyes. Do you mean what you say? He asked. I said, sir, believe me, I didn't say it. Somebody said it through me.
Yes.
But I'm really feeling that I like jalabina machli. What am I doing there in the house? So I want to do something here. Then he said, you will have to do PhD first. So that's what February, I remember 29th February, that was a leap year, 1988. I registered as a student.
Wow.
29th Feb. And December 92, I had a degree in my hand. 3.5 years I completed my dissertation. And 3 years and 10 months I got my degree. It happened so, because I was so passionately doing it, because I was missing all this. So, this is the field where I belong to, I thought. And I'm savored from that.
So if it wasn't for Dange sir, perhaps we might not been also having the teachers like Narsale ma'am or Mahaulikar ma'am in Department of Sanskrit. So we are indeed thankful to sir. And of course, this journey of searching about sir, knowing more about sir is never ending. There is a lot to be done, and especially the theories put forward by sir, we as students need to revisit. We need to request ma'am again थोड़ा और मैडम को मस्का लगाना पड़ेगा और मैम जो थियरी सर ने पुट अरे मैडम ने पहले ही सर पे हाथ लगा दिया so those theories we need to learn, and just like we give the references again and again, we give the references of Joseph Campbell or Carl Jung, but we are not studying our own scholars. We are not giving the references of our own scholars. Whereas if you see Wendy Doniger or many such scholars who have worked a lot in comparative mythology, they always give the reference of Dange sir. And it would be shocking for you, but I had written Wendy Doniger 5 days back, and I received a reply within 5 hours. So it generally doesn't happen, but of course, so I used name of Dr. S.A. Dange sir, and that's why I received the reply. So that is a magic about Dr. S.A. Dange sir. And Dr. Dange, Sindhu Dange ma'am, thank you for introducing us to Dr. Dange sir, because a lot of books, book publications and everything has been also being done by you. Otherwise, we might not have got introduced with many of those published works. So thank you very much. Thank you all the participants. Thank you Vinita ma'am. Thank you Varsha ma'am for joining in today.
Thank you very much. And now that you taught my mom how to do Zoom, I think it is good for me too. And
Great.
Hope she'll teach on Zoom.
Yeah. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.